The stars glittered cold and distant as my ship descended into the heart of the Zylarian Empire. I had heard stories of the alien worlds, planets ruled by enigmatic queens whose power spanned light years, cities of spires and energy, and traditions older than human history itself. Yet nothing prepared me for the weight of responsibility waiting for me on the capital planet. I had not come as a conqueror, trader, or diplomat. I had come simply because I was chosen. Or perhaps because circumstance had thrust me into a role I could not refuse. The Empress had summoned me, her message cryptic and commanding. "Human, your skills are required. Fail not." As I stepped off the landing platform, the city stretched before me like a jewel. Towering structures of crystalline metal glowed softly under the planet's twin suns, streets alive with alien lifeforms moving with precise grace. My first task had been simple on paper: navigate the Empire's capital to deliver urgent supplies. But simplicity evaporates quickly in the presence of alien royalty, and events had spiraled beyond any training I'd received. It had started with an explosion. The convoy I was escorting, carrying essential medical equipment, was ambushed by rogue pirates from the neighboring sector. Blaster fire illuminated the crimson skies as I dived for cover. One of the cargo pods rolled precariously toward the edge of the cliffside platform. The pod contained her, Princess Lysara, the only daughter of the Empress, and the future of the Zylarian Empire. Time slowed. Her cry for help echoed through the chaos. I sprinted, dodging energy beams and debris, reaching the pod just as it toppled toward the abyss. With every ounce of strength and agility I had, I shoved it back to safety. The pirates were momentarily distracted, giving me the chance to secure her pod and ensure her survival. The aftermath was a whirlwind. Alarms blared. The pirates fled under heavy fire from Zylarian patrols, and I found myself holding the princess as the first responders attended to her. She was trembling, her golden eyes wide with shock, but unharmed. I had done it, I had saved her. Yet even in that moment of triumph, I knew I had only scratched the surface of what this world demanded of me. That evening I was summoned to the palace. The gates were immense, adorned with glowing runes and guarded by warriors whose armor reflected the twin suns. As I entered the grand hall, I could feel the weight of 1,000 eyes on me, but none as piercing as those of the alien queen herself. She stood at the far end of the hall, tall and regal, her iridescent skin shimmering like liquid light, her golden eyes studying me with an intensity one had never known in a human gaze. "You have saved my daughter," she said, her voice a harmonious blend of authority and emotion. "Few mortals would dare. Yet here you stand." I bowed deeply, my words carefully chosen. "Your Majesty, it was my duty and my honor." I could not have allowed harm to come to her. The Empress's gaze did not soften. Instead, it seemed to probe every thought within me. Then, after a moment that stretched like an eternity, she spoke again. "You have done more than duty requires. You have protected the future of the Zylarian Empire. Therefore," I stiffened, unsure of what might follow. "Therefore," she continued, her golden eyes locking onto mine, "you have earned a right that few outsiders are granted. You must marry her." The hall seemed to fall silent. My breath caught in my throat. "Marry Princess Lysara, your Majesty," I stammered. "Yes," she said, her tone leaving no room for argument. "You saved her life. You demonstrated courage, skill, and loyalty. These are qualities I value above all in one who would join my family and protect my bloodline. You will marry her." I could barely process the weight of her words. The customs of the Zylarian court were strict and ancient. Marriage was not a matter of romance alone. It was a binding of loyalty, duty, and responsibility. To refuse would be an insult not only to the Empress but to her entire empire. Princess Lysara, meanwhile, stood slightly behind her mother, her eyes wide but glimmering with something I could not immediately identify. Gratitude, respect, and perhaps the beginnings of trust. "Your Majesty," I began, careful and deliberate. "I am honored beyond words, but this is sudden. I must learn her wishes as well. Marriage is a bond, and it must be mutual." The Empress regarded me for a long moment. "Indeed. Your concern for her agency is noted and approved. She will decide freely. But remember this, human. Actions speak louder than hesitation. You saved her when others would have fled. Your courage is your proposal." The princess stepped forward, her voice soft but steady. I am grateful to you," she said, eyes locked on mine. "If the Empress has chosen you as my protector, then I will trust her judgment. And you have already proven yourself to me today." That night, I stayed in the royal guest chambers, unable to sleep. The events of the day ran like a vivid dream. The explosion, the chaos, the rescue, and finally, the declaration of the Empress. I thought of Lysara and the immense responsibility I now carried, not just as her protector, but as someone potentially bound to her for life. In the days that followed, I was integrated into the court, learning the customs, the expectations, and the intricate dance of etiquette that governed every interaction. The Empress watched closely, her presence both reassuring and intimidating. Princess Lysara and I spent time together under the careful observation of the palace staff. Our conversations were cautious at first, discussing her interests, the empire, and the culture of her people. Slowly, a mutual understanding formed, built on trust and respect. One evening, the Empress called us both to the grand balcony overlooking the capital. The twin suns were setting, casting long streaks of light across the crystalline towers. "You have shown bravery, honor, and humility," she said, her voice carrying over the soft wind. "These are the pillars of loyalty and family in the Zylarian Empire. You, human, have proven yourself worthy, not only to me but to my daughter." Princess Lysara reached out her hand to me, a gesture of trust and acceptance. "I choose to trust you," she said softly. "If we are to be bound together, then let it be with understanding and respect. You have already protected me. That is enough to start." I took her hand, feeling the weight of the moment. It was not simply a marriage proposal. It was the acceptance of responsibility, of shared destiny, and of a bond that transcended the boundaries of human and alien. The Empress smiled faintly, a rare expression for one so formidable. "Then it is settled," she said. "You shall marry her. And together, you will uphold the honor of our lineage and protect our empire from all who would threaten it." In that moment, I understood the depth of what I had achieved. Courage had saved a life. Loyalty had earned respect. And even in a galaxy filled with alien traditions and cosmic dangers, a single human choice could change the course of an empire. As the stars emerged above us, I looked at Princess Lysara and knew that while the path ahead would be challenging, it was one we would face together, with courage, honor, and mutual respect. And in that understanding, I realized that the true reward of my actions was not just survival, but the beginning of a bond that could bridge worlds. For in a universe governed by power, danger, and ancient traditions, sometimes the bravest act is simply to stand, to act, and to trust in the humanity within, even among the stars.